I'm good. Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Yemi Cardoso. I come again. I just saw on Arise TV newspaper review this day front page report. Central Bank of Nigeria orders banks, IMTOs to settle remittances, FX remittances in Naira. And that is it. And one of the reasons why they stated this is for them to ease the liquidity pressure of the dollar in the market. I have said this thing. I've always voted for Yemi Cardoso. I've always done clips to support him and his monetary policy measures. And I've always said Yemi Cardoso is practically like a man you've given a machete, tie one of his hand behind his back and ask him to go and clear an evil forest. The problem we have in Nigeria are 95% physical sector problem driven. 5% is actually monetary policy. And I've always said it, until we fix the physical side through the supply of the dollar, enhancement of supply of the dollar, and the providing ease of doing business and security to allow foreign direct investors, foreign direct remittances, and foreign diaspora investments to flow into this economy, and of course enhance local productivity. I'll be wasting our time trying to tame inflation and tame forex volatility. Yes, the intentions may be good, but I can tell you, you cannot force somebody to remit his money, dollar, from abroad, and then you force him to take Naira. It's not right, and that people will always find ways to circumvent it. One of the reasons, and I must tell us this, you must understand the problem and be very sincere, very rigorous, very focused in tackling that problem. There are no shortcuts to tackling a problem. Once you have a problem, you face that problem headlong. What are the sources of the dollar supply into Nigeria? The major supply source of dollar into Nigeria is the crude oil sales. Crude oil sales, oil revenue accounts for 85 to 90% of our FX supply chain. And that is why we've always clamored for efficiency, for transparency, for revolve opacity, and the massive criminality in that sector to enable us to ramp up crude oil output to the level of 2.5 million barrels a day. It was in 2010, even to 2014. And also to stop the criminal diversion of our oil and gas revenue, so that we will have enough massive inflow of at least $100 to $120 billion annually. The truth is, over the last 10 years, the average import volume of Nigeria is at about $62 billion. If we are able to stop the leakages in the downstream oil and gas sector, where we are being told that we consume 60 million liters of PMS a day, when we know that the actual consumption is not more than 38 million liters a day. We're able to stop the criminal leakages that made us lose about 16 trillion naira, $34 billion under the Buhari cancerous ATM misrule. If we're able to plug those leakages this time around under the Tinubu regime and ramp up crude oil output, we will generate enough revenue, so much that we have more dollar liquidity, more dollar supply than dollar demand in the system. Number two, foreign direct remittances. Under Obasanjo, under Jonathan and Yar'Adua, we had huge inflow of foreign direct remittances, foreign diaspora remittances of almost about $22-25 billion. But over the last 8 years, it has tanked and reduced. Why? Because of the opacity, the criminality in the system, and the huge arbitrage gap. Of course, that was stopped when the market was matched under the Tinubu, which was a good step by the current federal government of Nigeria. Because under the Buhari regime, we had an arbitrage gap of almost about 200 to 300 naira from the official to the parallel market. And therefore, people were playing a number of Ponzi games. Over 120 billion naira dollars was estimated to have been round-tripped and looted out of this economy. But the current government did the right thing by matching those rates. And why did we have the huge foreign diaspora remittances under the 16 years of Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, Jonathan? Because the arbitrage gap between the official market and the parallel market was slim. Under the Obasanjo regime, it was 1 naira gap. Under the Jonathan regime, it was about 1 naira, 2 naira gap. Official rate under Obasanjo was, as at 2007, yes, was 122. Parallel market rate was 123, 124. Okay, no, official rate was 124. Parallel market rate was 125, 126. Under Jonathan, the official rate was 197 at the time. Then it went 197. Prime market was 199. So there was no need for people to play games. It was stable. It was very stable. So people already know how much they can receive in Naira. So they will flow their dollar and you give them Naira and they walk away. When people started hoarding their dollar, started keeping dollar to themselves, was when the market went bonkers under the Buhari regime because of the huge arbitrage rates and criminality that was happening in the market. It was alleged that the even dollar were being allocated to public, connected people in high places who will collect dollar, look for middlemen to sell it for them in the Buhari market rates, official rate and all that. So it was a lesson, a massive criminality. Of course, the margin of the rates has stopped it. And you will have seen over the last 6 months an increase in diaspora remittances because what Cardoso did was good by trying to cover that arbitrage gap by matching the market rates. So you can now clearly see that the official market rate and the parallel market rate today is a bit narrow, though not as narrow as it was under Jonathan. We're expecting it to narrow to that level. But by putting in this new policy, forcing IMTOs, banks to pay their recipients of remittances in Naira against their will, because you have to not to force people. People cannot see. One of the reasons why diaspora remittances stopped flowing was Nigerians always devise the ways of protecting themselves. People were transacting in Naira here and settling their dollar offshore. For example, a trader in Idumota who sells his goods in Naira can call any of his brothers in any of these. Say, okay, I am going to pay somebody in China, and they agree. They transfer the money to that third party in China, and they settle themselves here in Naira. So the dollars were not coming in because of the opacity. So by trying to force people now to collect this, to do this, people may revert back to that old order, and even the remittances you were expecting to bring in to help you shore up liquidity will dry up. Why are we where we are today? We are where we are today because of the massive criminality in our oil and gas sector. So I expect it is not the job of Cardoso to superintend the oil and gas sector to get crude oil output back to 2.5 million barrels a day, to stop the criminality in the downstream oil and gas sector and the upstream oil and gas sector, the kamikaze games they are playing in NNPC and NNPPRA. It is not the job of Cardoso to stop it. It is the job of President President Bola Tinubu and the Wale Edun and the EFCC chairman Olanipekun, Olukoyede to stop. It is their job. It's not the job of Cardoso. But I also want to candidly advise Yemi Cardoso. Yemi Cardoso is actually the banker to government and banker to bankers. He should muster the courage and walk to Mr. President and tell Mr. President the truth. And what is the truth? The only way we can ensure constant dollar liquidity in this market is to, first of all, protect the major dollar spinner in Nigeria, and which is crude oil. We've seen over the last 8 years what Buhari and his team lasciviously did to our economy. Now, what will a president who is very honest and sincere, who is an oil and gas, what will he have done if I am in his position? The first thing I will have done will be to clear all the remnants of the inefficiencies, the Ponzi games, the criminality that happened under Buhari. What I would have done was to clearly clean out the board and management, personnel. Those that were appointed by Buhari over the last 18, I will have cleared them out. That would have been the first thing Tinubu would have done a week after he resumed office. Clear them and bring in your own people, even if you need people to employ expatriates. Look at what Petrobras is doing. We are already sounding like broken record. When you clear those remnants from NNPC to Petroleum Ministry to NNDPRA, clear them. Appoint competent, sincere, honest people. Ramp up and restructure the security architecture of oil and gas assets and across the whole federation. When you do this thing and remove the opacity, the inefficiency, the business killing programs at NNDPRA and other regulatory agencies, match them into one and then bring in efficiency there, investors will come back. I have said it here. If we restructure and they reform the institutional and operational framework of the oil and gas industry, even diasporans, Nigerian diasporans can bring in $20 billion annually. investment into that place. Total had gone to invest $6 billion in Angola. Why do you think they did so? Shell, Chevron, and the oil majors in South Africa does not have even 1% of Nigerian crude oil reserve. But these guys have refineries in South Africa that has capacity of almost about 540,000 barrels refining capacity a day. Why are they not establishing refineries in Nigeria? In fact, the first refinery that was established in Nigeria was done by Shell. So why are they not doing new refineries there? It's a question we should be asking ourselves. So, Yemi Cardoso, yes, your intentions are right, but I will tell you the truth. People, you have to win. It is the confidence and trust. The American dollar is what it is today, not because the American dollar, the cost of printing it is more expensive. In fact, it's actually cheaper to print the American dollar than Naira. But American dollar is so strong. It's because of the faith, the trust the global community has on the institutions of the America as a country and the governments. Even the average Chinese that is competing with America, if you want to pay the average Chinese contractor with yuan renminbi, they will not accept. If you want to pay the average Russian contractor with the rubles, they will not accept. They will want to accept the dollar because it's not as if the dollar has any magic wand behind it. What is sustaining the dollar is the trust and confidence the global investing public has on the integrity, the efficiency, the transparency and accountability of the institutions and governments of the United States of America. And that is what we should be looking at here. People must be made to trust us as leaders. When the investors and your citizens trust you, they can easily take the Naira and not look for dollar. And of course, even most of the dollar demand that are putting pressure on the Naira are from the political criminal policy gamers. 50% of the demand pressure on the dollar are from criminals in the political circle and their public sector, private sector fronts. And we know this truth. Yemi, your intentions are good, but you and Wale do the coordinating minister of the economy and the EFCC chairman, you have it as a point of duty to sit Mr. President down and tell him the truth. Whatever be the relationship, whatever be the influences that is making them to keep quiet, the truth is the only way we can show up dollar liquidity in Nigeria in the immediate short term is to clean up the rot in NNPC, NNDPRA, and the whole value chain and streams of our oil and gas sector. And you can't do it returning the same people who would work with Buhari to destroy our output from 2.4 million barrels to less than 1 million barrels, and who are continually gamed us in the downstream oil and gas sector. We know this truth now. At a time, Nigeria had a middle class population of about 4 million people that had income level of $130,000 to $170,000 per annum. Our daily PMS consumption was about 8 million liters a day. How did it balloon to 66 to 73 million to 102 million liters a day? And people are not being questioned. Forensic investigations are not being carried out. And we allow this thing. Crude oil, is this stolen? Is this sweet? How can we be losing? We are being told every time. Somebody comes up. The NNPC CEO came on air 3 years ago and told us that we lose crude oil revenues of about $1.9 billion every month to different inefficiencies, and we clap for him. 3 years after, something is still happening, and he's still returning his job. Does it make sense? If NNPC or NNPC is our private investment, will you return as the CEO a man who keep on telling you stories why things will not work well and is still not improving it? Look at Petrobras. Why is Petrobras more efficient than NNPC? Because the Brazilian government divested their shareholding in the place to just 28.5% and allowed usual investors to own the majority stake. And they brought in efficiency, transparency, and accountability. That is why today Petrobras is worth $74 billion asset size, does $121 billion revenue annually, and $36 billion profit, and daily crude oil output of 2.3 million barrels a day from a reserve of $15.5 billion barrels. So why is NNPC? Since we know this, let me tell you, President Tinubu, you are not going to be president forever. Ink your name in gold. Do the right thing. Ababa, do the right thing. Pull the trigger. Clear the mess now and save your government and save Nigerians. Yemi Cardoso cannot do all this things alone. Yemi Cardoso cannot manufacture dollar. Remittance is highest remittance is about $20 billion. This country needs at least $120 billion inflow annually, at least twice of what we import. And most of this revenue will come from the oil and gas sector. And then stop the leakages from the downstream. And you can only do it by clearing the mass and remnants of tanker worm that Buhari brought to the stake since 2015 till now. Do the right thing. Whatever be their contribution to your government and your campaign, do the right thing. Settle them, let them go. Thank you.